Have you ever sat across from the man you love, looked into his eyes, and felt a sudden sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach because you realize that even though he is right there physically, emotionally, he feels miles away? It is one of the most isolating feelings in a relationship. You ask him a question hoping for a deep, connecting conversation, and you get a one-word answer. You see him staring blankly at the television or his phone, and your mind immediately begins to race. You start asking yourself the dangerous questions. Is he bored of me? Is he pulling away? Did I do something wrong? If you have ever felt that flutter of anxiety, I want you to take a deep breath right now and let your shoulders drop. I want you to know that you are not alone in this feeling, and more importantly, it is not your fault. For centuries, women have been taught that if we just love hard enough, or if we are just pretty enough or smart enough, we will naturally understand men. But the reality is much more complicated and much more hopeful. The truth is, most of the pain, the arguments, and the sleepless nights you have experienced are not because he doesn't love you. They are simply because you and he are speaking two completely different emotional languages. You are interpreting his silence through a female lens, where silence often means rejection. But he is operating through a male lens, where silence means something entirely different. Today, we are going to bridge that gap. We're going to stop the guessing games. We are going to replace your anxiety with clarity, because when you understand why he does what he does, his behavior stops hurting you, and you finally gain the power to bring him closer than ever before. The software difference to truly understand the male mind. We have to strip away the romance for a moment and look at the biology. Imagine for a second that you and your partner are two high-powered computers. You are both incredibly capable, intelligent, and complex. However, there is a fundamental difference. You are running on entirely different operating systems. You might be running on an operating system that prioritizes connection, verbal processing, and multitasking emotions. Your brain is wired to connect the dots. If he is quiet, it must be because he is mad about what happened yesterday. Your is constantly scanning for patterns and emotional safety. He, on the other hand, is running on a system built for compartmentalization, single task focus, and energy conservation. His brain isn't connecting the dots in the same way. It is putting things into separate boxes. When he is quiet, his software isn't running a program called rejection. It is likely running a program called rest or problem solving. The friction in your relationship usually happens when you try to run your software on his hardware. You expect him to process emotions at the speed you do, or to verbally express love the way you would. When he fails to do that, you feel unloved. But he isn't broken, and he isn't being cruel. He is simply wired differently. In this video, we aren't just going to talk about feelings. We are going to look at the psychological and biological facts of how the male brain actually works. Once you accept that his operating system is different, you stop taking his glitches personally. The promise of transformation. So why are we here today? Why is this deep dive so important for your life right now? Because I believe that knowledge is the antidote to anxiety. What I am about to share with you in the next hour are 10 mind-blowing facts about male psychology that most women go their entire lives without ever hearing. These aren't the manipulation tactics you see on social media. These are the deep, often hidden truths about what makes a man feel safe, what makes him fall in love, and what makes him commit for a lifetime. We are going to explore the empty box theory, a concept that will explain 90% of the times he ignores you. We will uncover the hero instinct and why asking him for help might be the most romantic thing you can do. We're going to talk about the one thing value even more than love, a secret need that, if you meet it, will make him addicted to your presence. By the end of this video, you won't just be confused and hoping for the best. You will have a blueprint. You will be able to look at him and know exactly what is happening in his mind. You will know how to trigger his devotion without saying a word. This is a long video because the subject is deep, and your relationship deserves more than just a quick fix. So I invite you to get comfortable. Grab a cup of tea, put your phone on silent, and give yourself the gift of this time. You are about to uncover the secrets that will change the way you love and the way you are loved forever. Let's begin with fact number 1. Fact finding 1, the empty box. Phenomenon, the scenario of silence. Let's dive straight into the first mind-blowing fact. And I want to start with a scenario that I know you have experienced. Imagine you are driving in the car with him. It's been 20 minutes and he hasn't said a single word. He is just staring out the windshield, his face completely blank. Or perhaps you are sitting on the couch after a long day and he is staring at the TV, but you can tell he isn't really watching it. The silence starts to feel heavy. Your mind starts spinning its wheels. You think, hey, he's being so distant. Is he mad about what I said at dinner? Is he thinking about another woman? Is he planning a breakup? Finally, you can't take it anymore. You turn to him and ask the golden question, what are you thinking about? And he turns to you looking a little dazed and says nothing. Now, if you are like most women, your immediate internal reaction is liar. You don't believe him. Why? Because in your mind, It is physically impossible to think about nothing. Your mind is a constant storm of thoughts, memories, to-do lists, and emotions. It never stops. So you assume he is hiding something. You assume nothing is code for something I don't want to tell you. But here is the psychological fact that will change your life. He is telling the truth. Men have a unique neurological ability that most women do not possess. Have what relationship experts often call a nothing box. They can literally shut down their higher brain functions and exist in a state of sort of suspended animation. He isn't plotting. He isn't angry. He isn't bored of you. He has simply retreated into a mental space where there is absolutely zero activity. It is not a sign of emotional withdrawal. It is his default resting state, the biological reset. To understand why this nothing box exists, we have to look at how men and women handle stress and energy differently. This is the biological why that stops you from taking his silence personally. Think of your brain like a web or a superhighway. Everything is connected to everything else. If you are stressed about work, it affects how you feel about the house, which affects how you feel about your relationship. When you are stressed, your biological instinct is to connect, to talk it out, to vent, to seek reassurance. Talking lowers your cortisol levels. A man's brain, however, is compartmentalized. It is made up of separate boxes that don't touch each other. When a man is stressed or tired, his biological instinct is not to connect, it is to disconnect. He needs to unplug the machine to let it cool down. When he retreats into that silence, whether he is scrolling endlessly on his phone, fishing, playing a video game, or just staring at a wall, he is engaging in a biological reset. He is lowering his testosterone, depleting stress hormones. He is recharging his battery. The problem arises when you interpret this recharge mode as rejection mode. You see him pulling away and you think he is pulling away from you. But in reality, he is just pulling away from the world. He is taking a mental vacation so that he can come back and be the man you need him to be. If he doesn't go into that box, he burns out. He becomes irritable, snappy, and emotionally unavailable. That silence you fear is actually the very thing that keeps him sane. It is not an act of defiance. It is an act of survival. How to react, the secret power. So now that you know he isn't secretly plotting to leave you when he goes silent, what should you do? This is where you flip the script and turn a moment of anxiety into a moment of high value attraction. Your instinct when you see him in the nothing box is to pull him out of it. You want to poke him. You ask, are you okay? Why are you so quiet? Do you want to talk? I want you to stop doing that. Imagine someone shaking you awake right when you are in the deepest, most restful part of your sleep. You wouldn't feel loved. You would feel grumpy and jarring. That is what it feels like to him when you try to force conversation during his recharge time. Instead, I want you to embrace the power of the confident pause. When you notice he has checked out mentally, do not chase him. Do not hover, simply smile, perhaps touch his shoulder gently as you walk by and go do something that makes you happy. Read a book, call a friend, or put on a face mask. This does two powerful things. First, it allows him to recharge faster. If you leave him alone, he might only need 20 minutes. If you keep asking, what's wrong, he might stay in a bad mood all night. Second, and most importantly, it signals incredible confidence. It tells him, I am secure enough in this relationship that I don't need your constant attention to feel okay. That kind of independence is magnetically attractive to a man. When he finally comes out of his nothing box, and he always will, he will come looking for you. He will be refreshed, he will miss you, and he will be ready to connect. Fact Fight 2, the respect vs love hierarchy, the shocking trade-off. Now that we have navigated the silence of the nothing box, we need to talk about the fuel that keeps a man emotionally alive. This brings us to fact number 2, and I have to warn you, this is often the most difficult pill for women to swallow. It challenges everything we are taught about romance, but understanding it is the key to unlocking his heart. I want to ask you a hypothetical question. It's a difficult one, but I want you to answer it honestly in your mind. If you were forced to choose, would you rather be in a relationship where you felt A, alone and unloved, or B, inadequate and disrespected? If you are like the vast majority of women, you would choose B. You would rather feel inadequate than unloved. To a woman, being unloved is the ultimate isolation. Love is the oxygen of the feminine soul. It is what makes a house a home. But here is the shocker. When researchers posed this same question to thousands of men, the results were completely flipped. Nearly 75% of men said they would rather feel alone and unloved than feel disrespected and inadequate. Let that sink in for a moment. For a man, respect is his oxygen. To you, love and respect might feel like the same thing. You respect the people you love. But to a man, they are distinct. He can feel loved by you. He can know you care. He can know you are loyal. But if he feels you do not respect him, he will emotionally suffocate. He will feel like a failure. Think of it this way. You crave to be cherished. You want him to treasure you. He craves to be admired. He wants you to believe in him. When a man feels disrespected by his partner, it cuts deeper than anger. It cuts to his identity. He feels emasculated. And when a man feels emasculated, he cannot give you the love you are asking for. He withdraws because he feels he isn't man enough to make you happy. Decoding disrespect. This brings us to the tricky part. Most women watching this are thinking, but I do respect him. I don't call him names. I don't cheat on him. I cook dinner for him. And I believe you. The problem isn't your intention. The problem is the translation. You see, men have a very sensitive radar for what they perceive as disrespect, and it often comes from things you think are just helping or joking. To a man, respect is tied to his competence and his judgment. Let me give you a few subtle examples that trigger his disrespect alarm. Imagine you are in the car and he is driving. He takes a turn you wouldn't have taken. You say, "Why are you going this way? It's faster the other way." To you, that is helpful navigation. To him, that is a direct statement. "I don't trust your judgment. You are incompetent." Or perhaps he is telling a story at a dinner party and he gets a detail wrong. You interrupt and correct him in front of his friends. To you, that is just accuracy. To him, that is public humiliation. You just signaled to the tribe that he is not the leader, even mothering him, reminding him to wear a coat. Double checking if he paid the bill can feel like kryptonite. When you treat him like a child who needs management, you kill the romantic passion. You cannot be his mother and his lover at the same time. He doesn't want to be managed. He wants to be trusted. When you constantly question his methods, he hears, "You aren't capable of doing life without me." That doesn't make him feel loved. It makes him feel small. The criticism loop. So what happens when this dynamic plays out over months or years? We enter what psychologists call the criticism loop. This is the number one killer of intimacy. It usually starts because you, the woman, feel anxious or unheard. So you try to fix him. You criticize his cleaning, his driving, his planning. You think you are coaching him to be better. But all he hears is noise that says, "You are failing, you are failing." When a man feels constantly criticized, his hero instinct dies. We will talk more about the hero instinct later, but essentially, a man wants to be your hero. If he feels he can never please you, if the bar is always moved, or if his efforts are always met with a "ha yes," but he stops trying. He thinks, "I can't win with her, so why play the game?" He shuts down, goes into the nothing box. Then you feel ignored, so you criticize him for being distant, and the cycle repeats. The only way to break this loop is to replace criticism with admiration. This is the secret weapon. When you catch him doing something right, even something small, and you validate it, you light him up. Instead of saying, "Finally, you took out the trash," say, "Thank you for handling the heavy lifting. I really appreciate it." It sounds simple, almost childish. But remember, respect is his oxygen. When you breathe belief into him, he grows taller. He becomes softer towards you. He becomes more generous. A man who feels deeply respected by his woman will walk through fire to make sure she feels loved. If you give him the respect he craves, he will naturally give you the love you need. Fact Fent 3, the emotional delay, the speed mismatch. We have talked about his need for silence and his need for respect. Now we need to address the pacing of your heart versus his. This brings us to fact number 3, the emotional delay. I want you to picture a scenario. Something big happens in your relationship, maybe a fight, or maybe a really beautiful, tender moment. Your brain immediately lights up. You are ready to process it, talk about it, dissect it, and understand exactly what it means for your future. You are verbalizing your feelings in real time. The words are flowing because for you, feeling and speaking are often the same process. You turn to him expecting him to be right there with you. But instead, you get a delay. You pour your heart out and he says, "I don't know what to say," or "Can we talk about this later?" It feels like a slap in the face. You interpret his slowness as indifference. You think, if he loved me as much as I love him, he would have a reaction right now. But here is the science: men process emotions differently and, more importantly, slower than women do. Women have a larger corpus callosum, the bridge connecting the emotional right side of the brain with the logical left side. This allows you to feel and speak simultaneously. Men, however, have less connectivity there. They have to literally shift gears. When a strong emotion hits a man, he has to take it offline, move it to the logical part of his brain, analyze it, and then formulate a sentence. This is what I call the buffering effect. Just because the video isn't playing yet doesn't mean the internet is broken. It means the file is large and it's loading. He isn't unfeeling. In fact, studies show men often have stronger physiological reactions to emotional stress than women. He is feeling so much that his system is temporarily overloaded. He needs time to process the data before he can give you the output. The danger of "talk to me now." Understanding this delay is crucial because it highlights the biggest mistake women make in moments of high emotion: the demand for immediate connection. When you sense his delay, your anxiety spikes. You feel the distance opening up, and your instinct is to close it immediately. So you push harder. You say things like, "Why aren't you saying anything? Talk to me right now." You are trying to pull the words out of him to reassure yourself. But psychologically, you are backing him into a corner. When a man is in processing mode and you demand an immediate emotional performance, you trigger his fight or flight response. Since he loves you, he doesn't want to fight, so he freezes or he flees. He shuts down completely to protect himself from saying the wrong thing. By demanding he talk now, you are essentially asking him to fake it. You are asking him to give you a reaction before he has actually processed the truth. And if he does give you an answer just to make the pressure stop, it usually won't be the deep, honest answer you wanted. It will be a defensive one. This creates the classic pursuer-distancer dynamic. You chase him for a reaction, he runs away to find safety, to think, and you chase harder because he's running. It is a cycle of panic that destroys intimacy. You must realize that his silence in the heat of the moment is not an absence of love. It is the presence of processing, the safe harbor strategy. So if you can't force him to talk in the moment, how do you get the deep emotional connection you crave? You use the safe harbor strategy. The goal is to lower the pressure so his processing speed can catch up. If you are in a heated moment and he goes quiet, instead of pushing, I want you to say this: I can see your thinking. I'm going to give you some space to process this, and we can talk about it later when you're ready. And then this is the hard part: walk away. This is a power move. It shows you are in control of your own emotions. It removes the threat. Suddenly, he isn't being interrogated. He is being given respect. Remember fact 5-2. When you remove the time pressure, a man's defenses drop. He can actually hear his own thoughts. And because he doesn't feel attacked, he is much more likely to come back to you later with a fully formed, thoughtful response. Another trick is to change the environment. Men process emotions better when they aren't making direct eye contact. It sounds strange, but eye contact can feel confrontational to a man during emotional stress. Try having deep conversations while you are side by side, driving in the car, walking the dog, or washing dishes together. When his eyes are focused on a task, his emotional guard comes down. He feels safer. You will find that the man who can't say a word when you are staring at him across the kitchen table will suddenly spill his secrets when you are driving down the highway at night. Create a low-pressure harbor and his ship will always come in. Fact, find fault, the burden of competence. Why he fixes things. The solution trap. Let's talk about one of the most common arguments in relationship history. It happens in kitchens and living rooms all over the world every single day. You come home from a long, hard day at work. You are exhausted. You sit down with him and start to vent. You tell him about your boss who was rude, the traffic that was terrible, and the friend who canceled on you. You aren't looking for advice. You are looking for empathy. You just want to be heard. You want him to say, "Wow, that sounds awful. I'm so sorry." But instead, he interrupts you after 2 minutes. He says, "Well, why didn't you just quit that job? Or you should have taken the other route home, or just stop talking to that friend." In that moment, you feel rage. You feel dismissed. You think, he isn't listening to me. He's just trying to shut me up so he can go back to watching TV. You feel like he is treating your emotions like a leaky faucet that needs to be patched up rather than a person who needs to be held. But here is fact number 4. He isn't offering solutions to shut you up. He is offering solutions because that is how he loves you. We have to go back to the male operating system. For thousands of years, a man's value to the tribe and to his family was defined by his utility. His worth was measured by what he could fix, what he could kill, and what he could build. He is wired to be a problem solver. When you present him with pain, his brain creates an immediate equation: problem toss solution to loathe. He thinks that by fixing your problem, he is protecting you. He is saving you from stress. To him, just sitting there and listening feels passive. It feels useless. He loves you, so he wants to do something. He is offering you his toolbox. You are asking for his heart. It is a misunderstanding of intent, not a lack of care. The fear of failure, this need to fix things, goes deeper than just being helpful. It touches on a very raw nerve in the male psyche, the fear of failure. This is something men rarely talk about, but it drives almost everything they do. Most men carry a subconscious belief that their primary job in the relationship is to make you happy. You are the barometer of his success as a man. If you are smiling, he feels like a king. If you are crying, he feels like a failure. So when you come to him with your unhappiness, even if it has nothing to do with him, he takes it personally. When you are venting about your day, he doesn't just hear, "I had a bad day." He hears, "I am in pain," and you aren't doing anything to stop it. This creates anxiety in him. He starts to feel incompetent. And when a man feels incompetent, he gets defensive. Have you ever noticed that when you are just sad or venting, he suddenly gets grumpy or angry? You think, "Why are you making this about you? I'm the one who is upset." He is making it about him because your pain makes him feel powerless. And men hate feeling powerless. He gets angry because he can't fix it. He is snapping at you not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much and doesn't know how to translate that care into a solution. He feels like he is failing at his one job, protecting his woman. Understanding this changes the dynamic completely. You realize that his defensiveness isn't arrogance. It is actually a sign of his deep investment in your happiness. He wants to be your hero so badly that when he can't save you from your bad day, he beats himself up. The magic phrase, now that we know his wiring, that he wants to fix things and he feels like a failure if he can't, how do we get what we actually need? How do we get him to just listen without trying to take over? You have to give him a new job description. You have to tell him exactly how to win. Men are goal-oriented. If the goal is fix the problem, he will give you advice. If you want empathy, you have to explicitly set that as the goal. Here is the magic phrase I want you to use next time you need to vent. Before you start the story, put your hand on his arm, look him in the eye and say, I'm going to tell you about my day, but I don't need a solution right now. The way you can help me is just by listening and holding me. That would make me feel so much better. Watch what happens physically when you say this. You will see his shoulders drop. You will see him relax. Why? Because you just relieved him of the burden of fixing it. You told him, you don't have to solve this to be a good man. You gave him a clear, achievable goal. Listen, now he knows how to succeed. He knows that by sitting there and saying nothing, he is actually doing something. He is winning. He is making you happy. When you give a man a clear target, he will hit it every time by distinguishing between help me fix this and help me feel better. You prevent the argument before it starts. You get the empathy you need, and he gets to feel like the hero who gave it to you. Everyone wins. Fact Fang 5, intimacy as an emotional language. It's not just physical. We are about to enter sensitive territory. Fact number 5 deals with perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of male psychology, intimacy. If I asked you why men want sex, what would you say? Most women, and even society at large, would say it's because men are driven by biology, or they have needs, or simply feels good. We tend to view male desire as a purely physical itch that needs to be scratched. Because of this view, it is easy for women to feel used. If you are tired or emotional or feeling disconnected and he approaches you for intimacy, it can feel insulting. You think, we haven't even talked today. I feel like a stranger to you and you just want my body. It feels like he is bypassing your heart to get to the physical act. But here is the mind-blowing truth. For a man, physical intimacy is his primary form of emotional communication. In a world that tells men to be stoic, to be strong, and to never show weakness, the bedroom is often the only place where a man feels safe enough to be truly vulnerable. When he is with you physically, his brain releases a flood of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. For that window of time, his defenses are down. He is letting you in. He isn't using sex to avoid emotional connection. He is using sex to initiate it. Think about how you feel after a long, deep conversation where you shared your fears and dreams. You feel close, right? You feel understood. Well, he feels that same level of closeness after physical intimacy. It is his version of a deep talk. When he reaches for you, he isn't just asking for friction or release. In his own silent language, he is asking, are we okay? Are you still with me? Do you still desire me? He is trying to bridge the emotional distance the only way he knows how. When we strip away the physical pleasure, what remains is a profound psychological need for reassurance. He is checking to see if his safe place, you, is still open to him. Rejection sensitivity. Once you understand that intimacy is his language of love, you can begin to understand the devastating impact of rejection. I know that as women, we often have to say, no, you might be exhausted, stressed, or not in the mood, and that is completely valid. Your body is yours. But it is crucial to understand what he hears when you say no. When you reject his advances, you think you are rejecting an activity. You are saying, I don't want to do this thing right now. It's logistical. But because intimacy is his primary emotional tether to you, he hears something very different. He hears, I don't want it cuts directly to his core identity. Remember, men generally do not get emotional or physical validation from their friends. They don't cuddle with their buddies. They don't hear you're beautiful from their coworkers. You are his exclusive source of romantic validation. If the tap runs dry with you, he is walking through a desert. When he is turned down repeatedly, it doesn't just frustrate him physically. It creates a deep, agonizing insecurity. He starts to question his worth as a man. Am I not attractive anymore? Does she not love me? Is there someone else? This is why a man who is constantly rejected doesn't just get sad, he gets cold, he pulls away. He stops trying to hold your hand. He stops doing favors for you. Why? Because it is too painful to reach out and be slapped away. He puts up a wall to protect his ego. He isn't punishing you. He is shielding himself from the pain of feeling unwanted by the one person whose opinion matters most, the connection bridge. So we have a dilemma, a classic catch-22. You as a woman generally need to feel emotionally connected before you can get physical. You need to talk, to cuddle, to feel heard. He, as a man, generally needs to get physical in order to feel emotionally connected. You are waiting for him to talk so you can want sex. He is waiting for sex so he can want to talk. It is a standoff. And if no one builds a bridge, the relationship withers. How do we solve this? We solve it by understanding the warm up principle. You cannot expect yourself to jump from 0 to 100 instantly, but you also cannot starve him of his love language. The answer lies in non-sexual physical affection. This is the bridge. Touch him without the expectation of it leading to the bedroom. Hug him for 20 seconds when he walks in the door. Scratch his back while he watches TV. Hold his hand in the car. For him, these small touches are micro doses of that reassurance he craves. It quiets his anxiety. It tells him, I desire you. I see you. When he feels that constant physical acceptance, he doesn't feel starved. He relaxes. He becomes more willing to sit and talk with you, to give you the emotional foreplay you need, because he isn't panicking about whether he is rejected. And for you, this physical closeness naturally releases your own oxytocin, making it easier for your desire to wake up. By meeting in the middle, using touch to build emotion and emotion to build touch, you stop the cycle of rejection. You turn the bedroom back into a sanctuary where both of you get to feel safe, seen, and deeply loved. Fact Faint 6, the freedom paradox, the rubber band theory. We are moving now into one of the most counterintuitive aspects of male psychology. This is fact number 6, and it explains the phenomenon that keeps most women awake at night, the sudden distance. Have you ever had a week where everything was perfect? You were texting constantly, the dates were amazing, and you felt closer than ever. And then without warning, he seemed to vanish. The text got shorter, he got busy, he needed space. Your instinct in that moment is panic. You think, I'm losing him. Your biological programming tells you to close the gap. So you chase, you text him more, you ask him what's wrong, you try to pull him back in. But the harder you pull, the further he seems to run. This happens because of the rubber band theory. Men have a dual need. They have a desperate need for intimacy, closeness, but they have an equal and opposite need for autonomy, freedom. It is a constant cycle. When a man gets very close to you, when he is intimate and vulnerable, his intimacy tank fills up. But simultaneously, his autonomy alarm goes off. He starts to feel engulfed. He fears losing his sense of self in the relationship. So, like a rubber band, he pulls away. He needs to stretch out to feel his independence again. This is the critical part. He pulls away only so he can spring back. When he pulls back, he isn't leaving you. He is resetting his ability to desire you. A rubber band has no power when it is slack. It only has energy when it is stretched. If you chase him while he is pulling away, you make the rubber band slack again. You kill the tension, you kill the desire. But if you stand still, if you let him stretch, the tension builds. And eventually the physics of love takes over and he comes snapping back to you with more intensity than before. The power of release, this brings us to the freedom paradox. The rule is simple but terrifying to implement. The more freedom you give a man, the more he wants to be with you. I know this feels unsafe. When we love someone, we want to hold them tight. We think that if we let go, they will drift away forever. But with men, the opposite is true. Men run from cages. They return to homes. If you make him feel guilty every time he wants to go out with his friends or play golf or work late, you become the cage. You become an obligation, and men resent obligation. He will stay with you physically to avoid the fight, but emotionally he will be resentful. However, if you are the woman who says, go have a great time with the guys, I'm going to catch up on my reading tonight, something magical happens. You confuse him in the best way possible. You signal high value. You are saying, my happiness does not depend on you being glued to my side. Suddenly, he isn't thinking about escaping you. He is out with his friends thinking, wow, she is so cool. She is so confident. By releasing him, you remove the pressure. And when the pressure is gone, his natural desire to be near you has room to grow. He stops fighting for his freedom because you already gave it to him, becoming the destination. So how do you master this? You have to shift your mindset from being his keeper to being his destination. Think about it. Where do you want to go at the end of a long, hard trip? You want to go home. Why? Because home is comfortable. Home is safe. Home doesn't judge you. You want to be the emotional home he chooses to return to. When he does come back from his rubber band phase, whether it was an hour of silence or a weekend trip, how do you greet him? Do you greet him with a cold shoulder? Do you say, oh, now you decide to show up? If you do that, you are punishing him for returning. You are teaching him that coming back to you is painful. Instead, I want you to try the hero's welcome. When he comes back, simply be happy to see him. Smile. Say, I missed you. How was it? This is psychological magic. He expects you to be angry. He expects a lecture. When you greet him with warmth, he feels a rush of gratitude and relief. He realizes, she is my safe place. This reinforces the positive loop. He learns that he can go out, be a man, conquer the world, and then come back to a soft, loving place. He realizes he doesn't have to leave you to be free. He can be free and be with you. And once a man realizes that He never wants to leave. He will stretch, but he will always snap back to the woman who makes him feel free. Fact find 7, shoulder to shoulder bonding, the face to face myth. Let's talk about connection. If I asked you to picture the perfect moment of intimacy with your partner, what would it look like? For most women, the image is very specific. You are sitting at a romantic dinner, maybe holding hands across the table. Candles are lit, you are looking deeply into his eyes, and he is looking into yours, and you are talking about your feelings, your dreams, and your relationship. To the female brain, face-to-face interaction is the gold standard of bonding. It is how you connect with your girlfriends. It is how you connect with your mother. Direct eye contact plus verbal vulnerability equals love. But have you ever noticed that when you try to force this scenario with a man, he often gets fidgety? He looks away. He seems uncomfortable. You interpret this as him avoiding intimacy. You think he doesn't want to connect with me. But here is fact number 7. Men do not primarily bond face to face. They bond shoulder to shoulder. This goes back to our hunter-gatherer roots. For thousands of years, men bonded while hunting, building, or protecting the tribe. They stood side by side, facing outward toward the horizon or the task at hand. They didn't stare at each other. That was actually a sign of aggression or challenge. They looked at the goal together. So when you sit him down and stare him in the face and say, we need to talk, his primal brain registers a confrontation. It feels like an interrogation. His walls go up. But when you stand beside him looking at the same problem or the same view, he feels like you are teammates. He feels safe. Understanding this directional difference is the key to unlocking his willingness to open up. He isn't avoiding you. He is just waiting for you to stand beside him, not against him. The activity secret, now that we know the shoulder-to-shoulder rule, how do we use it to create deep romance? We have to change the venue of our intimacy. We have to embrace the activity secret. If you want a man to open his heart to you, do not schedule a talk. Schedule an activity. Have you ever noticed that he seems most chatty and happy when you are doing something mundane together? Maybe you are hiking a trail or assembling a piece of IKEA furniture, or even just driving in the car. Suddenly, the man who couldn't articulate his feelings at dinner is telling you about his childhood fears or his stress at work. Why? Because the activity acts as a distraction for his logical brain. When his hands are busy, when he is driving, fixing, or moving, his guard comes down. The pressure of performing, the conversation vanishes. The silence isn't awkward because you are doing something. This is why men love gaming, sports, or fishing with their friends. The activity is the vehicle for the connection. If you want to feel closer to him, stop trying to pull him onto your turf of verbal analysis. Go onto his turf of shared action. Ask him to teach you how to play his video game. Ask him to help you paint a room. Go for a long walk where you don't have to look at each other constantly. In these moments, you are building what psychologists call companionate love. It might not feel like the dramatic, poetic romance of a movie, but to him, it is deeply bonding. He thinks she gets it. She's my partner. You are building a history of doing life together. And that is far more binding for a man than 1,000 hours of talking about it. The silence of togetherness, there is one final layer to this shoulder-to-shoulder dynamic that I need you to understand, because it saves so many women from unnecessary heartbreak. It is the concept of companionable silence. In the female world, silence is often a warning sign. If you are having lunch with your best friend and neither of you speaks for 10 minutes, you assume something is wrong. You assume she is mad. But in the male world, silence is the highest form of compliment. When a man is comfortable enough to sit in a room with you and not speak, he is telling you that he trusts you completely. He is saying, I don't need to entertain you. I don't need to impress you. I can just be with you. This is why he might be perfectly happy sitting on one end of the couch, scrolling on his phone while you read a book on the other end. To you, that might look like disconnection. You might think he's ignoring me. But to him, that is intimacy. He is sharing his space with you. He is letting you into his nothing box atmosphere without feeling the need to perform. If you can learn to accept this, if you can sit with him in that silence and not fill it with anxious chatter, you become a rare woman. You become a woman who understands peace. And in a world that is loud, demanding, and chaotic, a woman who can offer peace is a woman a man never wants to leave. So the next time he is quiet beside you, don't panic. Just lean back. Relax your own shoulders and realize that in his own language, he is screaming, I am so happy you are here. Fact find 8, the visual gateway. It's not shallow biology, vres. Choice, we are moving into territory that often makes women feel insecure or even angry. It is the age, old cliche, men are visual creatures. When you hear that, what happens in your heart, for many of you, it feels like a judgment. It feels like a pressure cooker. You look in the mirror, you see the lines that weren't there 10 years ago, or the curves that have softened, and you think, if he is visual, then I am losing the battle. You might even feel resentful, thinking, why can't he just love me for my soul? Why is he so shallow? But here is fact number 8. His visual nature is not a moral flaw. It is a biological hardwiring. We have to look at the brain scans. The male brain has up to 25% more neurons in the visual cortices than the female brain. Furthermore, his visual center is directly wired to his amygdala, the part of the brain that controls primal desire and emotion. For a man, seeing is literally feeling. When he looks at a woman, he isn't just checking her out. His brain is receiving a massive data dump of biological signals. This isn't a choice he makes. It is a reflex, just like your reflex to nurture or connect emotionally. Understanding this allows you to stop taking it personally. When his head turns or when he appreciates beauty, he isn't betraying you. He is functioning exactly as nature designed him. And more importantly, this visual gateway isn't about him needing a supermodel. He doesn't need perfection. He needs visual stimulus. He needs to see the woman he loves. Often women stop trying because they think, he loves me, he shouldn't care what I wear. But by ignoring the visual, you are ignoring the primary way his brain says, I want her. It's not shallow, it's his operating system, the Novelty. Need now, knowing that he is wired visually. How do we use this to our advantage in a long-term relationship? We have to understand the neuroscience of Novelty. The human brain, especially the male brain, is designed to ignore things that stay the same. It's called habituation. If you put a beautiful painting on your wall, you stare at it for a week. After a month, you stop noticing it. It just becomes part of the wall. In relationships, this is dangerous. If you look exactly the same, wear the same sweatpants, and keep the same hairstyle every single day for 5 years, his brain stops registering the visual data. He stops seeing you. The secret to reigniting interest isn't plastic surgery. It is variety. Men are dopamine junkies, and dopamine is triggered by something new. This is why a simple change can have a massive impact. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to change the packaging occasionally. If you usually wear your hair up, wear it down. If you usually wear neutral colors, put on a bright red dress. If you usually wear cotton pajamas, wear silk one night. These small shifts act like a refresh button for his brain. Suddenly, you aren't part of the background anymore. You are a new visual stimulus. You will catch him looking at you differently. You might even catch him getting nervous around you again. He thinks, wow, who is this? This isn't about dressing up for him. It is about understanding that by keeping your visual presentation dynamic, you are hacking his dopamine receptors. You are forcing his brain to pay attention to you again. You are reminding him that there is always more of you to discover. Confidence is the filter. I can hear the objection in your mind right now. But I don't like my body anymore. I don't feel comfortable dressing up. I want to hide. This leads us to the most critical part of this fact. Confidence is the filter through which he sees you. While men are visual, they are not seeing your flaws with the microscopic precision that you are. You see the stretch mark, he sees the curve. You see the wrinkle, he sees the smile. But there is one thing he does see with crystal clarity: insecurity. If you are hiding your body, if you are turning off the lights, if you are hunched over trying to make yourself small, he feels that energy, insecurity is the ultimate anti-aphrodisiac. It tells his primal brain, there is something wrong here. She is not a high-value mate. However, when a woman owns her body, whatever size, whatever age, she radiates a magnetism that overrides physical perfection. Have you ever seen a man with a woman who wasn't conventionally perfect, but he looked at her like she was a goddess? That is because she carried herself like a goddess. She walked with her head high. She didn't apologize for taking up space. To a man, ownership is sexy. When you wear that dress and stand tall, you are sending a signal, I accept myself. And because he looks to you for cues on how to treat you, he will accept you too. He will see the beauty that you see in yourself. So the next time you feel the urge to hide, I challenge you to do the opposite. Wear the outfit that scares you. Walk into the room like you own it. His brain won't just see a body, it will see a queen. And a queen is always beautiful. Fact find 9, the provider. Anxiety, the hidden weight. We are nearing the end of our journey, but we cannot fully understand a man without discussing the heaviest invisible backpack he carries every single day. This is fact number 9, the provider anxiety. In the modern world, we talk a lot about equality. Women are CEOs, breadwinners, and leaders. We share the bills. Logic would tell us that men should feel relieved, that the pressure is off. But psychology tells us a different story. Deep in the male DNA, etched over thousands of generations, is a primal imperative. If I cannot provide for my tribe, I have no value. It doesn't matter if you make more money than him. It doesn't matter if you tell him you don't care about money. He cares. He carries a constant low-level hum of anxiety that asks, do I have enough? Am I secure? Can I protect her? For a man, his career and his financial stability are not just about paying the mortgage. They are about his right to exist. They are inextricably linked to a sense of worthiness as a partner. When a man is struggling in his career, maybe he hates his job, or business is slow, or he feels stuck. It affects everything. He cannot simply leave work at work. That sense of failure follows him home. It sits on his chest while he tries to sleep. It is the filter through which he sees his life. This is why a man who is financially stressed often becomes emotionally distant. He isn't pulling away because he stopped loving you. He is pulling away because he feels he hasn't earned the right to enjoy you yet. He feels that until the hunt is successful, he cannot rest by the fire. He carries a weight that he rarely speaks about because he believes that complaining about it makes him look weak. When stress eclipses love, this brings us to a painful dynamic that ruins many weekends and holidays tunnel vision. Have you ever tried to be romantic with him or just have a fun day out? But he seems distracted. He is checking his emails. He is pacing. He is irritable. You take it personally. You think, he cares more about his job than he cares about me. I want you to reframe that thought immediately. When a man is under provider stress, his brain enters survival mode. In survival mode, the brain shuts down non-essential functions to focus entirely on the threat. And biologically speaking, romance is a non-essential function. Playfulness is a non-essential function. He literally cannot access the part of his brain that allows him to be soft and loving because his brain is screaming, danger, danger, fix the resource problem first. He isn't ignoring you because you don't matter. In his twisted, paradoxical logic, he is obsessing over work because you matter. He is trying to secure the perimeter so that you are safe. His work ethic is his love language in overdrive. He thinks, I am doing this for us. The tragedy is that you don't feel loved. You feel neglected, and he doesn't feel appreciated. He feels misunderstood. He thinks he is slaying a dragon for you, and you are mad that he's late for dinner. Recognizing this tunnel vision is crucial. It stops you from becoming the second stressor. If you fight him for his attention while he is in survival mode, he feels attacked from both sides. The world is attacking his competence, and his woman is attacking his character. That is a lonely place for a man to be. How to support him? So if you can't force him to relax, and you can't solve his work problems, what can you do? How do you support a man who is drowning in provider anxiety? You have to become his oasis. Most women make the mistake of trying to manage his stress. They ask, why do you work so hard? Or you need to take a break. To him, this sounds like criticism. It sounds like you're disappointed in how he handles his business. Instead, try a radical approach validation. The next time he comes home exhausted, or the next time he is stressed about money, do not offer advice. Do not complain about his hours. Look him in the eye and say, I see how hard you are working for us. I know it's heavy right now, but I believe in you. You've got this, and I'm on your team. This is the antidote to his anxiety. When you validate his effort, you tell him, I see your sacrifice. When you tell him you believe in him, you give him the strength he is running out of. Suddenly, you are not another demand on his time. You are the fuel source. You are the soft place to land. When a man feels that his woman respects his grind and isn't trying to fight him on it, his cortisol levels drop. He thinks she's safe. I can breathe around her. And ironically, once he feels that safety, he will naturally put the phone down. He will naturally come out of survival mode. He will want to be with you because you are the only person in the world who makes the weight feel a little lighter. Fact 10, the hero instinct. He needs to be needed. The modern dilemma. We have arrived at the final fact. Fact number 10. This is the holy grail of male psychology. It is the concept that ties everything else together. It is called the hero instinct. We live in a unique time in history. For the first time, women are truly independent. You can make your own money, buy your own house, fix your own sink, sell, or hire someone to do it and create your own happiness. This is a beautiful, empowering evolution. You do not need a man for survival anymore, but this independence has created a silent crisis in the male soul. For millions of years, a man's purpose was clear, protect, and provide. He was the hero. That was his job description. If he did those two things, he was valuable. Today, he looks at you strong, capable, self-sufficient, and a quiet question haunts him. If she doesn't need me, then what am I doing here? This is the modern dilemma. Men want strong women, but they also have a biological imperative to feel useful. If a man feels redundant in your life, like an accessory that is nice to have but not necessary, his attraction to you will fade. He might love you, but he won't feel that deep, burning devotion. Devotion comes from a sense of purpose. When a man feels he has no clear role in your life, he checks out, he becomes passive, he's planning dates, he stops trying to impress you. Why? Because he feels like he has been fired from his job as your partner. The mistake many strong women make is thinking that needing a man makes them weak. It doesn't. There is a massive difference between needing someone out of desperation and creating space for someone out of love. The hero instinct isn't about you playing the damsel in distress. It is about you handing him a jersey and inviting him onto the field. It is about letting him know that while you could do life alone, that you are choosing to do it with him because he adds something no one else can, vulnerability as a gift. So how do we trigger this hero instinct without lowering our own standards or pretending to be helpless? The secret lies in strategic vulnerability. In our culture, we are taught to hide our needs. We say, I've got it, or I can do it myself. We wear our independence like armor. But in a relationship, that armor prevents connection. Asking a man for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a gift of trust. When you ask him for help, you are triggering a dopamine rush in his brain. You are validating his existence. These can be small physical things. Asking him to open a jar, reach a high shelf, or check a weird noise in your car. Yes, you could do these things. But when you ask him, you are giving him a quick win. You are letting him feel physically capable and useful. But it goes deeper than physical tasks. It's about emotional vulnerability. It's saying, I'm really stressed about this situation with my family, and I could use your perspective. It's saying, I feel really anxious today. Can you just hold me for a minute? When you expose a soft spot, a fear, a worry, a need, you are signaling that he is your protector. You are letting him see the part of you that isn't the boss babe CEO, but the human woman who needs comfort. Many women fear that being needy will drive him away. But there is a difference between emotional neediness, which drains him, and allowing him to meet a need, which empowers him. When you say, I need your hug, you aren't draining him. You are empowering him. You are telling him that he has the power to make your world better. That feeling is addictive to a man. He wants to be the one who makes you smile. He wants to be the one who chases away your fears. By asking for his help, you aren't being a burden. You are giving him his purpose back. The ultimate magnetism, and this brings us to the ultimate secret of magnetism. A man will fall in love with a woman who is beautiful, smart, or funny, but he will devote his life to the woman who makes him feel like a king. The hero instinct is the key to that devotion. When you consistently let him win, when you appreciate his efforts, ask for his help, and let him see that he makes a positive impact on your life, you become irreplaceable. There are plenty of beautiful women in the world. There are plenty of smart women. But a woman who makes him feel tall, a woman who makes him feel like he is the strongest, most capable man in the room, she is a unicorn. He will become addicted to the way he feels when he is around you. He will want to spend more time with you, not just because he loves you, but because he loves the version of himself that exists when he is with you. This is the ultimate magnetism. It isn't about manipulation. It isn't about playing games. It is about the generous act of seeing the best in him and calling it out. So I challenge you, find a way to let him be your hero today. Ask for his advice. Let him carry the heavy bag. And when he does, look him in the eye and give him a genuine smile. Watch how he stands a little taller. Watch how he leans in closer. At that moment, you aren't just a couple. You are a team. You are the queen and he is your knight, and a knight never leaves his queen. You have now unlocked the final secret. You hold the blueprint, the power of understanding, the shift in perspective. We have been on quite a journey together over the last hour. We have traveled through the hidden landscapes of the male mind, shining a light into corners that are usually kept in the dark. Think back to where we started. We began with that sinking feeling of confusion, the anxiety of the silence, the frustration of the nothing box, the sting of the emotional delay. You likely started this video feeling like you were trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. You were looking at his behavior through your own lens, wondering why he couldn't just love you the way you love him. But look at where you are now. You have the pieces. You now understand that his silence isn't a withdrawal of love. It is a biological reset button. You know that his need for respect is as vital as your need for affection. You know that when he pulls away like a rubber band, he is actually gathering the energy to come back to you. You understand that his fix mode isn't a dismissal of your feelings, but a desperate attempt to protect you from pain. This shift in perspective is everything. It is the difference between a relationship filled with friction and a relationship filled with flow. When you stop trying to force his operating system to run your software, the struggle ends. You stop taking his natural instincts personally. You stop viewing his differences as defects. Instead of thinking, he is doing this to hurt me, you can now think, I know what this is. This is fact number 4. This is the hero instinct. That knowledge gives you your power back. You are no longer the anxious passenger in the car wondering where he is going. You are the navigator holding the map. You can see the terrain. You know the shortcuts. And because you understand the landscape, you can finally relax and enjoy the ride. Empathy over judgment. I want to leave you with one final thought on how to use this new power. It is easy to take these facts and use them as tactics or tricks to get what you want. True transformation, the kind that lasts a lifetime, doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from empathy. For too long, the narrative between men and women has been a battle of the sexes. We have been taught to judge each other. Men judge women for being too emotional, and women judge men for being too cold. We judge each other because we are frightened by what we don't understand. But today, you have chosen to understand. I invite you to replace judgment with curiosity. The next time he does something that frustrates you, when he shuts down or gets defensive, or forgets the details, try to pause. Instead of letting that old script of anger play out, ask yourself, what is the psychological need behind this behavior? Is he feeling disrespect? Is he feeling useless? Is he feeling trapped? When you approach him with empathy for his wiring, you become his safest place in a harsh world. Remember, the world outside is constantly judging him. It demands he be strong, stoic, and successful. He is wearing armor all day long. You have the unique power to be the one person who helps him take that armor off. When you work with his nature, instead of fighting against it, you stop being his opponent and you start being his teammate. And there is nothing stronger than a man and a woman who understand each other, respect each other's differences, and choose to cover each other's blind spots. That is the definition of a power couple. It isn't about being identical. It is about being complementary. You bring emotional depth, he brings stability. You bring the color, he brings the canvas. Together, you create a masterpiece that neither of you could paint alone. Thank you for spending this time with me. I know this was a deep dive, and I honor you for investing this energy into your relationship and yourself. The fact that you are here at the end of this video proves that you are a woman who loves deeply and wants the absolute best for her life. Now, I want to hear from you. This community is a place for us to learn from each other, and your voice matters. I have a question for you. Which of these 10 facts surprised you the most? Was it the nothing box? Was it the respect over love statistic? Or maybe the hero instinct? Scroll down to the comments right now and let me know. I read every single one, and I would love to know which insight hit home for you today. If this video gave you a moment of clarity, or if it lifted a weight off your shoulders, please hit that like button. It seems small, but it helps this message reach other women who are currently sitting in silence, feeling confused and alone. You can help them find this map just by liking the video. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We have so much more to cover. In the next few videos, we are going to go even deeper into the psychology of attraction, communication scripts, and how to heal past relationship trauma. You do not want to miss it. You have the knowledge now. You have the tools. Go out there and use them. Be the queen who understands her king. I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in the next video.